Hi, everyone. My name is Alyssa Yesko. I am the director of the Pathways into Education Center, and I'm going to walk you guys through the application process when you're applying for certification this summer. So, congratulations on nearing the end of your program and on your upcoming graduation. This is awesome and amazing. I know you all have worked very hard. Um, and so yeah, let's just jump right in and I'll have my contact information at the end where you can email me if you have any questions after the presentation. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to join your class today, but I'm available for questions or meeting at any time. So all right, let's get started. Okay. So when we're talking about applying for certification, it is a process that can change. And so this is the current information. I don't expect any changes coming in the next few months. We haven't been made aware of anything, so um, not to really worry about any of this information changing by the time you graduate. But let's say you are coming back a year from now, or even more than that, and you are applying at that time. Feel free to reach out to us to see if there have been any changes to the application process, because New York State Education Department regulations certainly can change. In New York State, as most of you know, you apply for certification once you've completed a program. You can start the application prior, which I'll talk about, in order to be employed in a New York State public school. And this certification shows that you've met the coursework, assessment, and experiential requirements for your profession, in your case, school psychology. So you may know the way that the school psychology certification works in New York State is that you first earn your provisional certificate. So you would earn this when you've completed your program, either your CAS or PsyD, when you've received an institutional recommendation, which I'll talk about. When you've completed all of the workshops, including the new child abuse identification workshop, which I'm sure you guys have more than likely completed at this point, and when you have fingerprint clearance, which many of you probably already do. And then so that's the first type of certification that you earn in New York State, and then the permanent certification is the final type of certification which you receive, obviously when you've earned provisional, but then also when you've completed 2 years of paid full-time experience as a school psychologist. And so you would reapply for that permanent certification using the same process when the time comes. First and foremost, I'd just like to remind students to apply for graduation. This is an important step that, we've had students miss this step a couple of times and in the process. So just a little reminder. So the applications for summer 2025 degrees have opened on April 15th, and they are due by August 15th. And then this is just a helpful tool to just sort of make sure that you're aware of what's required for certification as a school psychologist and that you've met all of those requirements. So this is what that website looks like. This is you can actually get there right from the Teach website. So this is the Office of Teaching Initiatives website. It's likely a website that you visited before. And if you go to the search certification requirements, I'm pointing like you guys can see me. The search certification requirements um, link right here, it brings you right to that website. Um, School psychology falls under administration and pupil personnel services for certification purposes. You would select psychology, you would select the all grades, school psychologist, and provisional certification. And this will show you what's required to earn the certification once you have completed a program. So you are currently in an approved preparation program. So it requires completion of the program, the institutional recommendation, which we'll talk about, and DASA and fingerprint clearance. The other workshops are also included, but those are degree requirements. So New York State knows that you've already completed those. Um, all right, so your first step is you're going to log into your Teach account on the Office of Teaching Initiatives website. And then this is what your Teach homepage should look like, and you'll click on Apply for Certificate. There's great information here, so I highly recommend that you read all of this. I won't read it all to you, but this is what the next page looks like as you're clicking through. This is really helpful and important information, so certainly read through it. It just lets you know about the application process, some important information. So your first step is to update your personal and education information. This is something that's just to have in your Teach account. This isn't the actual application piece. And so this is, oh, sorry. This is sort of what that page looks like. So this is an example where I've chosen childhood education and I just use this to show students, but you would also, pull from the drop-down menus certificate or doctoral program. You would select school psychology and you would enter the information about when you entered and completed your program. These are the different fields that you'll choose for. So this is what the page looks like, and these are the different things that you will enter into the different fields. And so you can just kind of like copy this information right into those fields. Then this is the actual application part, and this is when you'll select the certificate that you're applying for. So this is um, your area of interest. Again, that was that administration and pupil personnel services, and all those other fields that we selected on that last page, which right here, this is what you will put in each of those fields. Psychology, pre-K to 12, all grades, school psychologist, provisional, and then there's program codes based on which program you've graduated from. And so these are the 2 program codes. You will then select permanent certification once you reach the 2 years of paid full-time experience, and you'll apply in the exact same way then. You'll sign an affidavit. Basically, it's a lot of like checking boxes and clicking through to the next steps. Click sign. And then the last step is to make a payment. New York State Education Department is asking that you wait to do this until you have an institutional recommendation. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that. It's just some technical issues with their website. But you guys can do all the way up to this step and then just hold off on paying. You'll request the recommendation. So the recommendation is, it's not a letter of recommendation where we're like typing out information about you or anything like that. It's more of us going into your Teach account and confirming, like, yes, this student did complete the degree program that they say they did, leading to this certification. So we just sort of enter like, yes, they completed this program. And that's a necessary part of the application to go through, as you guys saw on that certification requirements page. So it has to be requested. So you have to submit a request because we have to access your records and your social security number in order to enter that into your Teach account. You can request the recommendation at any time. I'm going to highly recommend that you don't request it right now, and that you request it a little bit closer to the time of your graduation, because I cannot submit the recommendation right now, and it will just kind of like hang out in my inbox until for the next several months. So it's usually better to request the recommendation as it gets closer. So the recommendation cannot be submitted in Teach until your degree is officially conferred. Basically, you all apply for your degree. And then as soon as grades are due, so usually right around the time of the degree conferral date, which is August 16th in the summer, then someone has to manually check all of the degree applications and then award the degrees. So that process can take a couple of weeks. That's someone over in the graduate school who is doing that. And so I remain in close contact with that person, and usually they will reach out to me and let me know, hey, I've finished awarding all of the degrees for the certification programs. You can go ahead and enter those recommendations now, but I can't do it until the degree has been conferred. So even though the degree date is August 16th, usually they aren't actually awarded and shown on your transcript until like August 25th or August 30th. So like a couple of weeks out. You got if that's confusing, you guys can always reach out. But basically, I'm able to enter the recommendation out 2 or 3 weeks after graduation when the degree is conferred. If you see on your unofficial transcript that a degree has been conferred and you don't see a recommendation in your account, feel free to reach out and say like, hey, time to enter my recommendation. It's important that you request the recommendation, even if you don't plan to apply for certification right now. It just makes the process easier for if you do decide to apply in the future. And And that recommendation doesn't expire or go anywhere. It will just remain in your Teach account until you do decide to apply. This is the link to request the recommendation, which I'll also tell you guys, like, this is available for you guys to access on our website. So I'll show you where that is when you need to do it in the future. So you would click on teacher, leader, or school psychologist certification, and then you would just enter all of your information, and that's the request process. All right. And so this is sort of that, like, don't do it, don't pay for the application yet. So the Office of Teaching Initiatives has asked that students do not submit their application until the recommendation has been entered. On rare occasions, it has happened that a student's application has ended up on the wrong pathway when they have paid for it and submitted the application before the recommendation was entered. To my knowledge, I don't believe it's ever happened with school psychology students, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. When it does get placed on the wrong pathway, it would basically be like stuck in limbo and it wouldn't go through. And until you reach out to New York State Education Department to fix the pathway of the application, it wouldn't go through. And so sometimes it can delay the awarding of your certificate. So essentially the timeline is going to go apply for graduation, um, fill out your application on Teach, but not pay. Wait until you get a little bit closer to graduation and request your recommendation, check that the recommendation has been entered, and then pay for your application in Teach. So hopefully that's clear. Um, and then this is a great way to check the status of your application. And there is this website on the Office of Teaching Initiatives. This is a good way to see, like, is my recommendation there? Has my application gone through? If it hasn't gone through, why hasn't it? So there's, you can't really see. Let me zoom in a little bit. You'll see that there are different statuses that your application can have. And then below here tells you what each of those statuses mean and what might be missing and why it might be there. And then this link right here, this view evaluation history, can be really helpful because it'll sort of like lay out for you which of the requirements for certification have been met and which ones have not. So those are just some helpful tools from the Teach website. And then just something sort of specific to school psychology students is when you're starting to look for a job, I know you guys are graduating really close to the time that the K-12 school year starts. And so there have been times when hiring school districts have asked for some type of assurance that you are on track to complete your program. And so we have in the past written letters to school districts letting them know that a student is in good standing and expected to graduate, and that's a letter that would come directly from me and sent directly to your school district. So if you need help with that, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is right on the screen. So yeah, feel free to reach out. And then as far as help with any of this or questions that you might have, I recommend that you write them down right now if you have them, because I don't want you to forget. And then reach out to me. I can either meet with you, I can answer questions via email, whatever you need. Um, and then if it's a question that has to do with like the application portal in Teach, there are like if there's they have sort of like a request for like a form with all different reasons of why you might need to reach out, and you can fill out a form and that sort of gets sent to them so that they can assist you. And then this is my contact information. I'd recommend that you reach out directly to me for any certification related questions. And then really important, on the PI Center website, all of this information is laid out for you really nicely in one cheat sheet. So this is the PI Center website, and this is what it looks like. And if you scroll over here to applying for certification and click on apply for certification or find a program code, and then click on applying on Teach cheat sheets, and then find school psychology on the list. There is this lovely sheet that goes through everything that I just talked about, including information about waiting to request your recommendation, including information on how to verify if a recommendation has been entered, and your program code and all of the information that you'll enter into all of those different fields in your Teach account application, all the links that you might need. So this is a really helpful tool that I recommend you guys use when you're applying. But I think that's everything. So, thank you guys for listening in on this quite long and tedious presentation on certification, but hopefully this gives you a really good view of what the process is like. It's really not too bad. It can seem really intimidating, but it's really like just following the steps and submitting that application and being certified after all the hard work that you guys have put in. So again, congratulations, and reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.